Hey, welcome in everybody. Home Court Podcast, one of our favorite hours of the week. It's been a great week for me personally, except for this morning. I woke up with two boots, not one, but two boots on my car for no reason. Parking in my parking complex. Two boots, dude. I was pissed. I have a sticker that I paid for. Dude, that's what I'm saying, man. But
two boots will do nothing more than one boot, right?
Yeah, they double booted my shit, dude. I was enraged. I woke up absolutely ready to go today and became instantly enraged. It was an interesting morning.
Did you get it figured out? And did they come take the boots off?
Yeah, I went into my complex office building and threw an absolute fit. Just completely tore the place apart and made them pay for it.
Jeez, dude.
Well, what they did was the spot that I parked in, it's reserved. So all the closest spots to the complex are reserved. Then in the middle, there's this big open parking area. And it's all gated inside our community, whatever. So I normally park in those middle areas. And I've parked in the reserve a few times, never been booted. Last night, all the middle areas were full. So I parked in the reserve spot and woke up this morning, two boots. I was so pissed. I went in there and I was like, dude, you guys made me pay for parking. Why is there no spots to park except for right here? And I was like, you guys can't just, if there's 100 spots in the lobby, dude, you can't sell 120 car passes and expect to boot everyone that. Yeah, screw that, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
shout out United freaking Airlines. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Pathetic. Let's get into it, man.
Hideki.
Hideki got his first win at the Masters.
Yeah, I'm really excited about
incredible short game. Yeah, he crushed it.
First Japanese golfer to win a men's major. That's huge. I feel like golf needed some excitement.
Did you catch much of the Masters?
I watched the first couple days before I got kind of busy this weekend. I liked how it was playing tough, at least on Friday. That made me more intrigued. Well, Thursday was kind of tough, but Justin Rose shot, 66?
Yeah, but that was probably one of the greatest rounds ever at Augusta.
I thought when I saw Justin Rose at the top of the leaderboard after day one, I was like, he's not going to give it up. He's too good. And he's got a 4-stroke lead, but you know how majors are. The person who's winning after the first day almost never takes it all the way. But I'm really happy to see Hideki. He was 10 years ago, the low amateur, and full circle, he comes and wins the Masters. I think that's really cool. Yeah. I can't think of many better storylines for the game of golf right now than Hideki being the first Japanese golfer to win a men's title, plus his whole full circle journey. I think it's really good for the game of golf and good overseas for the PGA and all the majors and viewership. I like it. I'm really happy for him. Congrats, Hideki.
It's it's good for Strixon too. They're a big Japanese golf brand that has just started in the last few years after merging with Cleveland to make an emergence in the U.S. and they make an amazing product. So I'm happy. I love Strixon. Their equipment is great. So, and I heard this thing where on Saturday night, so going into Sunday, he had 2-shot lead or whatever, 3 shots, and they were saying if Hideki wins on Sunday, he'll become a billionaire instantly because of the Japanese endorsements that will follow with his win. And so then they were kind of talking about it. Me and my friends, my friend Damon played the Hooters tour back in the day. Super sick player. He's on TaylorMade staff, and he was saying that the way that it works in Japan or whatever, just you instantly become I
love that
freaking hero.
I mean, it reminds me of. It reminds me of Heung-min Son on my Tottenham Spurs soccer team. He is just the biggest icon in South Korea. He is, I think he's the number one celebrity in the whole country, and he plays soccer all the way in England.
No, yeah, what I didn't realize was the Japanese fans are in super hard on Hideki.
Really?
They roast and brutalize him when he doesn't play well.
Is it because he came on so strong?
It's similar to soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's similar to soccer where, like, dude, there's no mercy from soccer fans.
I know.
Like, if you start
always
playing
thought, yeah, I always thought we were intense here in the U.S., but, I mean, sports fans over in the U.K., ruthless. Everywhere in Europe is ruthless for soccer. And then, yeah, when you go over to Japan and China and around there, it's like, if you're supposed to be good, you better be good because you're the hero. You know, you are representing our country. And Hideki came on so strong, and then he kind of fell off for a while. So I'm sure they were really disappointed that he didn't turn into what everyone thought he would. But now he's here. He's arrived. And he's such a good golfer. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins some more.
Incredible short game. Let's get into the NBA, dude.
Let's do it. I want to talk about the Nuggets and the unfortunate injury of Jamal Murray, because I hate to see it. It just was reported 20 minutes ago. Jamal Murray tore his ACL. I saw this Nuggets team as one of the most prominent title contenders over the last run of success with Aaron Gordon in the lineup. They went on a 7-game winning streak. And I love this team. And I think a lot of people love this team. They're hard to hate. Jokic is there facilitating, getting the ball to open players. I mean, Jokic is the MVP of this team, but Jamal Murray, you can't. Without him, I think their aspirations are completely tarnished. Yeah. I don't think they have any chance.
Who plays point? Who plays point there now?
It seems to me like I was watching the game last night against the Warriors. I was watching the first half before the injury, so I woke up to this news. But it seems like whoever, rebounds the ball kind of carries it, like dribbles it up. And a lot of times they'll get it to Jokic in the middle, and then that'll be their offense, their half-court offense, which is their most effective offense for sure. Other than that, they'll run a lot in transition. But it seems like it just doesn't matter. They're really well coached. They really know how to. It doesn't matter who dribbles the ball up, is what I'm trying to say, because they can get into their offense because of Jokic being such a dynamic player. What do you think about his injury, though?
Jamal is very much like a prototypical new NBA, new era point guard where he's scoring a lot and
he kind of floats around rather than command.
But to me, this injury puts an emphasis on Wilt Barton to step up, and we've seen him he can fill it up, but he's so streaky. It's like, he has to learn how to.
He'll have to do a lot, but what I'm saying is they just can't do it without Jamal. I mean, I agree. They were turning into this team, though. Like, Aaron Gordon looks good. They were turning into this team that, as a Lakers supporter these days, I was thinking even healthy Lakers are going to have a hard time against this team because they're unique. And they have just a lot of ways to get it done offensively.
Yeah, I mean, this does give Barton, though, an opportunity to really, really, really get better right now. And next year, I mean, if Jamal comes back healthy, they could be really good.
The unfortunate thing is this year was like, they're good enough. Yeah, I wouldn't say it doesn't end their window. You're right. Next year, they're going to be just as good. But they had what they needed this year, or at least what they thought they needed to make a run at the title. And without Jamal Murray, that kind of goes away. But let's talk about something a little more bright. In the same game last night, Steph Curry passes Wilt Chamberlain as the Warriors' all-time leading scorer. It's fitting, right? Yeah. He's done so much for the game of basketball. He's done so much for the Warriors. I'm surprised he hadn't already passed the all-time scoring record with how many threes he makes every single game for the past 10 years. But, yeah, I'm excited for him. I think he deserves it. He came out in the first quarter yesterday, and he tied the record, and it was 19 points in a quarter. To reach Wilt Chamberlain's record. That record stood since 1964, so it's one of those records that it's legit. I mean, it's been around for a long, long time, and it took such a great player to come and surpass it. What do you think about it, Connor?
So, yes. Sorry, I wanted to pull this up so I could make sure that this was accurate. Anyways, Steph legend. One of my favorite players to watch. So relatable for the young NBA fan. Just a shorter guy that shoots a lot, isn't the most athletic, isn't the most physical, isn't the most dominant size-wise, but just an uncanny ability to come off screens, use his footwork and ball handling to get open and make shots. And I love Steph.
Just all skill.
Happy for him. But to pass Wilt is such an accomplishment because Wilt was the most dominant scorer ever. I mean, just ever in the history. And this stat I saw yesterday, I wanted to pull it up. He averaged 40-plus points in his first 515 consecutive games.
What?
Wilt Chamberlain.
What
if
team
you
was he
average his points over the first 515 games, it comes out to 40-plus points.
Jeez. Fact. That is ridiculous. What team did he play for to start his career? How many years? A better question. How many years was he on the Warriors? Okay.
I'm not done yet. The next player to average a consecutive streak of 40 points per game is Elgin Baylor. Guess how many he went for?
Elgin Baylor, he was legit. I feel like 60 games.
30.
30 games?
30.
Has Kobe not had a longer streak than that?
23. He's third. And then Harden is 20, fourth.
Wow. 500 games?
Yeah, insane.
My gosh, but can you tell me how many seasons was he on the Warriors?
He was on the Warriors for most.
Check out Basketball Reference real quick because
I'm on it.
Obviously, he is the most dominant scorer of all time, but he jumped a couple teams, if I remember correctly, and this takes nothing away from Steph. Obviously, the game's completely changed, and he dominates in a whole different way. But he's probably played more years than Will.
He started on Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, he started PH Dub. Was that the Phoenix Warriors?
Yeah, probably.
What is PH Dub, my guy? Philadelphia, dude.
Yeah, he was on Philly.
Philadelphia Warriors. Warriors.
But does that count for the record then?
Yeah, and then 62, they moved to San Francisco.
But it's been the Warriors this whole time up to that point.
So he had six seasons with the Warriors, and then he went to Philly, actual Philly, and played for the Sixers, Philly. And then he retired in LA. Okay,
so 6 seasons, and that's another thing that shows how incredible Wilt Chamberlain was.
Yeah.
6 seasons to hold a record that has stood for 57 years. I mean, it's crazy. And Steph's played in this league for how many years now? 10?
Yeah. Well, more than that.
And like I said, doesn't take anything away from Steph. Will was a whole different beast for that era. But yeah, I'm happy to see Steph do it because he's done so much for the Warriors, and to be drafted by them and to come up through them. It's been quite a ride to watch these past 8 years or so when they've had their success.
Yeah, it's exciting. Just like I said, man, just for a player that's so relatable. LeBron is 6'8", 240. You can't relate to him. Kevin Durant's
240 at the lowest.
You can't relate to him. Yeah,
LeBron's like 275, dude. We all know it. Why doesn't he ever tell his weight? I feel like it's something he's always kept kind of quiet. I don't get it.
I don't know. Kevin Garnett was 7 foot and always listed himself as 6'11".
Yeah, well, that was like AD does that too because he doesn't want to be a 5. He wants to be a 4. Same with like Kevin Durant is like 7'3", but says he's like 6'10".
Kevin Durant is
it's
ridiculous. He's not 7.
It's ridiculous. Have you ever seen?
He's at least 8 feet tall.
Have you ever seen Shaq? How he talks about Yao Ming? He calls Yao Ming 7'12" because he thinks Yao Ming lies about his height because it said 7'6", but Shaq would go up to him and he'd be like a full head taller. So like Yao Ming almost dwarfed Shaq, and Shaq does that to everyone. Yeah. And so Shaq thinks he's like 8 feet tall.
Those battles were amazing.
I wish Yao had a longer
Shaq and
career.
Yao battles.
Yeah, it was super fun to watch. Yeah, with Tracy McGrady. And yeah, it was funny. He had a way of just like, even though, English wasn't his first language, he came across hilarious. He was a really good dude in the NBA. And his Hall of Fame speech when he mentioned him and Tracy McGrady's combined 13 points to end the game. That big comeback, remember, where it was all Tracy McGrady?
Yeah.
Well,
Tracy like 11 points in a row.
No, it was Tracy had every single point. But yeah, I was like, we had a combined 13 to win the game. And that was one of my favorite memories. But it was all him.
Yeah, it was funny.
I love Okay, let's move on. So we talked about Steph being the all-time scorer. Do you think the Warriors, real quick, make the playoffs? I think they'll make a playing game.
They'll make the playing game, but they're kind of trending down right now just because.
Oh, yeah, Wiseman's out, too.
Can't get dubs. So, yeah, go ahead. Finish.
I said Wiseman's out. They beat the Nuggets yesterday, but Steph had a great game, and Jamal went down.
53.
Yeah.
Steph had 53. So I was reading this Instagram page. It's one of my favorites. It's called NBA District. And he does these March Madness NBA editions where he'll list the starting 5 of NBA players from different colleges. And then you go into a story and vote for which one you think. I want to run this one past you and see what your vote would be on this. So it's Kentucky versus Kansas.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's Kentucky versus Kansas. So Kentucky has De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, Shai Gilgeous, Anthony Davis, and Cat.
Oh my gosh!
Kansas has Devontae Graham, Andrew. Go ahead.
I was saying Cat. Might bring down the the whole vibe of the team. But I'll go for Kansas. Let me see.
Kentucky has Kansas has Devontae Graham, Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, Marcus Morris, and Joel Embiid.
I mean, Kentucky. By far.
Yeah.
Even though Joel Embiid is having such a great year. Kentucky kills them. I mean,
There's so many of these that are so good. Like even Texas, DJ Augustin, Avery Bradley, KD, Miles Turner, and Jarrett Allen versus Kentucky.
See, that's closer because KD's so great. Jarrett Allen's been really good. I love Miles Turner. But having DJ Augustin as your one, I like him, but I still take Kentucky. It has to be Kentucky. Is it? I mean, Kentucky also has other guys too. Kentucky has Bam. Kentucky has
DeMarcus.
Rondo. Kentucky has Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
They have everyone. Is there any what's Michigan State's real quick? So we got
Michigan State sucks.
No, okay, I know. I'm not saying that they're better than Kentucky, but we got Draymond. Miles Bridges have been great. Let's give Bryn. Would he be on that though? Or to be Gary Harris?
Yeah, Gary Harris, Jaren Jackson.
That's
their starting 5 according to NBA District.
Oh, okay. So
Bryn, Gary, Miles Bridges, Draymond, Jaren Jackson.
Okay, I want to say that that's not as bad as it sounds because Miles Bridges is turning into quite an NBA player. You got to admit that.
Yeah.
Not just with dunks. He brings a lot of energy. He's a great rebounder. And he's scoring a lot. Every minute he plays seems to be beneficial for the Hornets, even when he comes off the bench. Really like Miles. Jaren Jackson is going to be great. We saw it in the bubble before he had that injury that put him out all year. But, yeah, I mean, sure, they're not even touching Kentucky. Kentucky's second unit, they're not even touching. But I like some of the Michigan State guys in the league right now.
I'm very excited for Jaren Jackson to get back in the freaking NBA, man. This guy has been hurt for too long.
He's unbelievable. The way he shoots threes, I was surprised that it translated into the NBA so effortlessly. And then he's got everything else. He loves to dunk with his left hand. I don't get it. He's not even left-handed. It's kind of like Kawhi.
Yeah.
All right, you got any more for me?
So speaking of Kawhi, I have a little game for you really quick.
Right.
I came up with this earlier. So it's called Me or Them, or I'm sorry, You or Them. So I'm going to give you the perspective of Kawhi. So you're now Kawhi Leonard.
Okay.
Your goal is to win the Clippers a title. So I'm going to give you a player, and you're going to tell me if you're better with them or with Paul George.
Okay.
Are you following?
Yes.
All right, so Chris Paul or Paul George?
Chris Paul. Chris Paul's the best, dude. He needs to go around every struggling team in the NBA and make them a contender.
Okay. All right, Zach LaVine or Paul George?
Paul George, for sure. Zach LaVine, I
Devin
really
Booker
like him.
Or Paul George?
No, Paul George. Paul George just
like
dominated Devin Booker in that head-to-head. So,
yeah,
Paul George.
Joel Embiid or Paul George?
I don't know. This one's weird because of the vastly different positions and effect on the game. But Joel Embiid, he came back and he's just as dominant as he's been the whole beginning of the season. So I would say Joel Embiid would be better for title aspirations. Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell or Paul George?
Donnie's got that it factor, but I don't want to disrespect Paul George. I'll say Paul George.
So you're leaning 3-2 on Paul George right now, which is interesting.
Yeah,
I thought he would mostly be.
I don't know. I like Donovan Mitchell more than I like Paul George, but Paul George is a better player. I mean, he's a more developed.
DeMar DeRozan.
Definitely Paul George, because DeRozan doesn't seem like he necessarily fits the mold of a championship 2 guy because he doesn't shoot threes.
Playing inside Kawhi, neither one of them are great distributors. Lastly, Klay Thompson.
Oh my gosh, Klay. A healthy Klay is going to make any team so vastly better. He's so underrated, even though he's rated highly. Klay, every time he's got the ball, it's gone in. I love Klay.
Yeah.
Klay over every single guy in that whole list. And then they have to figure out who's going to be holding the ball the most. Well, I guess Rondo in the playoffs. So that team would be insane.
Yeah.
I love Klay.
All right, so one more.
Okay,
so we know Karl Malone never got a ship. So this is from the perspective of Karl Malone, and you're replacing John Stockton.
Stockton was great. Let's not take it.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, but these names are kind of legendary.
Okay.
All right, so the first one would be Steve Nash.
Oh, man. But that's such a similar comparison because they both didn't win a title.
But Nash can score better.
Yeah, and I like Nash. Nash is one of my favorites all time. I'm taking Nash. I think Nash had more of... Well, here's my problem, is I didn't grow up watching Stockton. I feel like I would have been just as obsessed with Stockton as Nash because of how crafty they were as passers. But with my personal bias, I'm taking Nash. I love Nash. And I do think he may have a better clutch gene than Stockton, and the fact that he can shoot better. I don't know. I like Steve Nash. Go ahead.
Stockton really wasn't a scorer. I mean, they just had this incredible 1-2 pick and roll. Okay, so Harden or Stockton? So you're giving him leadership, quite a bit of leadership.
Yeah, but
I think
we've seen
in taking on Harden.
We have a small sample size of Harden on the Nets. On that Harden, for sure. That Harden is incredible. And Karl Malone was really great too. And I think Harden would have done a lot to make him even better. Although, again, I didn't grow up watching Stockton, and I haven't always been a huge Harden fan either, though. But him on the Nets, it'd be hard to take anybody over what he's been doing. So,
yeah. All right, Zion and Lonzo or Stockton?
I hate that. Stockton. I'm gonna give Stockton credit. Come on. Maybe in a few years.
Yeah.
I love Zion. Zion's taken his game to a whole nother level recently. But come on, we're talking about a Hall of Famer
all-time assist leader.
Yeah, against 2 young guys. Assist leader, which his assist numbers are never going to be passed. I don't think.
No, they're absurd.
Unbelievable.
Too many of these guys score. Okay, last one: Jokic or Stockton?
Jokic with Malone, do they work? I mean, Jokic could work with anyone, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
Give me Jokic. Jokic is one of the most dynamic players we've ever seen. He's going to be a Hall of Famer too, right?
Yeah, he will be.
And he's
I like that.
He's likely an MVP this year if they continue to win without Jamal for the regular season, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I just don't think they can take it all the way.
Stay at the same pace they're at now. I think Jokic is clear.
Mm-hmm. All right, you want to move on to something else?
Yeah, let's move on.
Should we bring Zion back up just because of how insane he's been lately?
Yeah.
He's scoring like 30 plus points a game right now. Yeah. I want to see this team in the playoffs so bad. He's so fun to watch. He barrels down the lane and nobody can stop him. Like, the strongest guy in the NBA will jump straight up, and Zion won't even look like he's trying, and that person will fly away. And he'll get the foul call too, because he somehow has the innate ability to get around people trying to draw charges. And like I said, he barrels. So it's like a weird combination of, like, he's going to the hoop at an incredible speed, plus he somehow can evade the charge. I can't believe. I'm sure he draws a ton, or he has a ton of offensive fouls in terms of, like, who has the most in the league. But when you watch him play, it doesn't seem like a big problem in his game.
How much would someone have to pay you to take a charge from a steaming down the lane Zion Williamson?
You know, I could have brain damage from taking a charge from anybody in the NBA. But Zion, should I actually put a number on it? Because I actually
put a number on it.
I mean, I would. A steaming Zion down the lane, I would do it for rent, for a month's rent. I would do maybe a little more. How about a month's expenses? So like $2,000.
Jeez.
I mean, I'd probably hurt myself, but I know how to slide. I play basketball. I can slide down the floor like 50 feet away.
Yeah, Zion's incredible, man. And I wasn't a fan. I know that I kind of was really hard on him at the beginning of the year, but I also think I'm hard on guys that I have high expectations of, and Zion has surpassed them for me this year. I'm becoming a fan every game.
Even at the beginning of the year, he was meeting expectations. You were just like, but he can't sustain it. And that's kind of like, but that's a good way. Like, it's good to look at things like that skeptically, because it's hard to imagine that somebody with that size and weight could sustain it. But I think he'll learn to. I think he'll cut weight when he needs to. He's so young that he can get away with it right now. But I think he'll adjust as that weight kind of takes a burden on his knees.
So when Zion's watching tape of players that he wants to improve his game to be more like, who's he watching? Like, is he studying LeBron because they're similar body styles? I don't think LeBron is ever as explosive when he is at that weight and size, because LeBron was explosive when he was younger, but he wasn't the same size.
He's a different type. Right, he's a little more graceful.
Is it Kemp? Is it? I mean, who is it? Dwight Howard? Like Magic? Who is he watching and studying?
It's an interesting question, because there's no real comp for Zion, which is super fun.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is he's so unique? There's
no comp, but what I'm saying is, if he's watching film to get better, wouldn't it be LeBron? Wouldn't he want to have what he has and then add the LeBron factors? Because Stan Van Gundy is letting him dribble it up more now than he was earlier in the season. And that's part of the reason Zion's numbers have spiked. He's scoring 25 a game now, or 27 a game. And he's rebounding better. But what I'm saying is, like, wouldn't he be studying LeBron's game because of what he has already? And he wants to become a better passer, I'm sure. And it's hard because he's got no comps. But if he's trying to get better, you would look at somebody like that, who is a big guy that can command the paint, but is also a floor general. And LeBron has, you say what you want about LeBron shooting, but it seems like when he needs to make a three, it goes in. So Zion could use some 3-point shooting too.
Yeah, that's what I think is just, that's the point I was trying to get across, is that there's no comparison for what Zion has done in the last year. So it's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, okay. I want to talk about something that is kind of coming out of nowhere. This year in the NBA has been maybe the best year for dunks I've ever seen. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It seems like every night there's a poster. And I can't remember it ever being like that. And part of it is because the personnel. Anthony Edwards does it all the time. Miles Bridges is becoming a wrecking ball.
Dude.
Like, that dunk over Clint Capella.
Miles Bridges, oh my God, that dunk was nuts.
Unbelievable. And he tweaked it back so far. Are you kidding me? I can't believe anybody's even talking about any of the other dunks this year as comparable, because I saw Bleacher Report posted like 6 dunks. And sure, Anthony Edwards over hard name to pronounce of Toronto was insane because Anthony Edwards' head was above the rim. But that was more impressive of how high he can jump rather than like the actual dunk being impressive.
Yeah.
And Miles Bridges is, oh my gosh, his dunk was one of the best I've
Clint
ever
Capella doesn't
seen.
get dunked on a lot.
No.
He's a big boy.
Exactly. And it was as if Zion or Miles for a second realized that, like, as he was jumping, and then because of that put it back like way over here and just waited.
Dude, absurd.
Unbelievable. And what are the odds that we have the best dunking year in such a long time and there's like no fans in the stadium?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing that the Hornets announcers are electric.
They're so electric.
Or else we'd be falling asleep to the best dunks of all time. I can't even believe how good these announcers for the Hornets are. I love them so much.
I'm going to give it a shot.
No.
Oh my goodness! A thunderbolt! A thunderbolt by Bridges!
It's way too loud. Dude, it just hit 9 a.m. where I am right now. But
that was pretty spot on, man.
That was pretty good. And they'll do that for a layup. So that's what makes them so great. I don't know how the Hornets are going to be able to hold on to them because everyone loves them. ESPN, TNT, somebody's going to swoop them up, right? I mean, they're so fun to listen to. They make every game so exciting. And I genuinely think that they're part of the Hornets' success this year. It seems like everyone's buying in. They're a young team, and having guys like that, it's like the whole situation surrounding the Hornets is positive right now. And they're a part of it. They're so valuable to me, to that team and to the fan base. And it's great. And the Hornets are definitely going to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, we saw it. Keep going.
I was just finishing up. I just love what they're doing.
Those like not random, but like success stories you hear about some of the small market teams who build a atmosphere like the Hornets are building this year, like the Pistons built with the Detroit basketball and like
Bad
that
boys
environment
and
I love that for small market teams because that is one of their paths to success is when you build a super fun environment to go play in. Some of these guys that are good players and they're getting paid the same to go play anywhere. It's like, why not go to an environment that's fun like that? So
exactly, we've seen the benefit.
Some agents.
We've seen Gordon Hayward go from Boston, where he didn't seem like he could get his groove, to an exciting team like the Hornets, where he's playing great. So you're right. When an organization like that has all the positive energy just blasting at the players, they can feel it. And LaMelo seems like he's really buying into that whole atmosphere. His ego hasn't become a part of his game at all yet. I love the Hornets, and I'm happy for Big Mike that he's finally doing all right as an owner. So
I posted this on my Instagram story yesterday, and I wanted to talk about it and just compare it to the NBA.
Penguins?
Yeah, so this guy, Jeff Carter, who's like one of the best goal scorers in the NHL, whatever. I don't know jack shit about hockey. But he said the Pittsburgh Penguins GM was like trying to get him to come to Pittsburgh, and he mentioned that they have Crosby and Malkin. And he goes, yeah, he played with Sid before. I don't think anyone had to sell him on coming to Pittsburgh. We're the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're not going to kiss anybody's butts to be here.
Yeah, I know. I like that.
I was like, that's the most just hockey thing I've ever heard. Like, dude, fucking, I don't care. You're going to come play for us because we have Crosby, or you're not, dude. Get out of my face. Figure it out.
Yeah, do you want to contend? Like, they have the power. They're like, we're the great team, and if you want to be a part of it, you better buy in. I mean, we're not going to do anything above and beyond.
I would love to see a little more of that hard-nosed kind of. We're not going to be pushovers in the NBA.
It seems like the NBA is the opposite. The NBA pushes over for players, and the players are so valuable. I mean, the difference between the NBA and hockey is you can see the players' faces all the time, so their likeness becomes exponentially more valuable. So a lot of times you kind of gotta bend the knee to the players because and they're just worth so much to any organization.
No, I mean, that's true.
Yeah, I always think about that. Like, a lot of people are like, a lot of NFL players, get the minimum, don't get paid that much. Well, you can't see their face. They're not selling a ton of jerseys. You can't really connect with them. And obviously there's more players to pay, but I feel like that's a big part of it. And endorsements are harder to get when you're on the field. Nobody's seeing your face. You got a helmet covering you. And I think that's why a lot of NBA players become such superstars, and soccer players alike.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of NFL players that I know everything about, but I couldn't pick them out of a crowd because I don't really know what their face looks like.
Exactly.
It's like, how often am I really going to see their face? So, I wanted to bring up Gary Trent. We've talked about this trade and analyzed it quite a bit lately. I didn't realize he was as young as he is.
How old is he?
For one, but he's like 23?
23,
he's like
wow.
young as... Yeah, dude, he's so young. I'm going to double check that. It might be 24.
Yeah, double check it. But 44 points the other night on 19 shots. That's got to be one of the better performances I've ever seen.
He's 22 years old.
22?
And Norman Powell's 27. Yeah. Norman Powell's 27. I didn't realize that the disparity in age was what it was.
Wow. And I like Norman Powell.
That was a steal.
I feel like I always have to preface by saying I think Norman Powell's a really good player. And I think he does, at the moment, make them marginally better, make the Blazers marginally better. But with what we're seeing from Gary Trent, it's like, did the Blazers miss out on something that could have been great, or was he just kind of getting in the way of McCollum and Lillard? Like, he's just another guard that is a score-heavy guard, so maybe he just didn't have space to be as bright as he really is. Yeah. And I think at Toronto, it's a perfect situation. He's not as good of a defender as Norman Powell, so that's another thing. So maybe it's one of those trades that goes down later on as just a mutually beneficial. Like, Gary Trent, molds into this great NBA scorer, this 23 a game kind of guy, and Norman Powell is like one of those like rough and tough perimeter defenders who also can get a bucket when you need it. And I think if you put both of those skill sets up with the teams that they landed on, it seems like Toronto needed a scorer and the Blazers needed one of those guys who will play defense and get a bucket down the stretch. Yeah. Obviously they got Dame getting all the buckets, but sometimes Dame could get tired. God, maybe.
So yeah, no, he doesn't get tired. He's insane.
But I'm happy that Gary Trent's finding a lot of success.
I know we talk about this a lot, but you're out on the Suns having a chance to contend for a title, right?
Yes, they cannot win in the West, and the
they're
Clippers
number one in the West now.
But the Clippers just showed that if you play hard against them, you're going to beat them. Do you know what I mean? Like, they just played against each other. Yeah, and Paul George was like, I'm not going to let Devin Booker dominate me. And Paul George is a great defender. And let's not like even mention how good of a defender Kawhi is, because what if this happens and Devin Booker is having one of those games, those high scoring games? All right, let's give Kawhi a shot, and it'll probably stop. You know what I mean?
I hear you. I'm also on the train where I don't think they can get it done, but it's upsetting to me that we know or we don't think they are, because they are atop of the West, the most difficult conference in basketball.
Yeah, but we don't really think the Jazz can do it either. So
the Jazz have a better shot than the Suns.
Yeah, I could agree with that, but it just like, it's no disrespect to the Suns. I think they're having a great year, and I think Chris Paul is so incredible. I mean, I can't believe what he's done the past couple of years. He went to OKC, and he could have just been sour about it, which he was for a second. But then he was like, you know what? I'm just going to be great, and I'm going to make this team good. He got them, a 5 seed in the West? The OKC Thunder? Are you kidding me? And then he goes to the Suns, who had a good bubble, but for the past 4 years, or since Booker was drafted, I mean, they're a 30% winning percentage team. They don't get any wins. Yeah. And he's made them number 1 in the West. And there are factors that are at play. Like, if the Lakers were healthy all year and cared about being the number 1 seed, sure, they're the best team in the West. But props to the Suns for showing that they got a lot of game. And getting that 1 seed, it's great it's great for them because even if we don't think they're going to win a title, they're at least going to make it past the first round probably. And that's good for an organization that hasn't had a lot of playoff success in a long time.
Yeah. So, anything else?
I feel like we've talked about a ton in a short period of time. I like the short episodes, even though I could talk with you about basketball all day.
All day, baby.
All day. The Bulls have been bad. I won't even get into that. It seems like they're the exact same team, even though they have Vooch and better personnel. It's a bummer. And do you want to wrap things up by talking about Roy Williams?
Yeah, we can get a little Roy Williams action. I just wanted to give him like a shout. I just wanted to give him a hot shout. Congrats on an incredible career at one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious college basketball program ever in history. Mm-hmm. Guy's just a winner. He has the respect of all of his players. You love to see that. He didn't have to go out like some of the legendary coaches that were pushed out by
like Pitino and
management. Yeah,
by scandals and
and just big respect to him. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
They tried to put a scandal on him, didn't they, a few years ago? But it kind of didn't stick, which is just he's unproblematic. He seems like he's been a good guy for a long time. Obviously, I'm Michigan State all the way, and there were a few years where UNC and Michigan State played in there early on in the season, and UNC was smashing them. So wasn't a big fan of him then, but all respect to Roy Williams because he's been around for a long time, and he's really been a great coach and a good person.
I feel like Boeheim, Izzo, Roy, Coach K are like when they retire, they're all just gonna like be on a lake house on a beach somewhere.
Right. And Izzo's gonna be that young one that's trying to get him to drink. Like Izzo's like, come on guys, like, let's take shots.
This is a little shot.
Roy and Giuseppe go look at each other and be like, this little rascal. I love how Izzo, and I don't know what I think about it like specifically. I haven't thought a lot, but Izzo is kind of like if a player's disrespecting him, he kind of like puts him in line. And it was kind of weird to see in the tournament when Gabe Brown was yelling at Izzo, and Izzo like grabs his jersey and is like, look at me right now. Like, look me in the face right now. And like putting him in line. And a lot of people on social media will be like, that is a bad look. But all these players after the fact are like, Izzo's like a huge part of my life, and he's one of the most important people. And they would like nothing less. They know he cares about them to such a degree that he'll get in their face on camera. He could have waited to go into the locker room. Izzo wasn't being like shady about it. He was just like, you look me in the face right now and you say what you want to say to me, and then we'll go talk about it. I like that. And I like how Draymond Green is super quick to defend Izzo every time there's a little thing like that, because Izzo's a great leader for that team. And
find me one MSU alumni that has a bad thing to say about Tom Izzo. Go find me one. You can come back.
I don't think you can. That's what I tell people. Maybe there's one guy who didn't get playing time. I don't know, but it seems like everyone
bimbo.
Yeah, it seems like everyone has the utmost respect for him, and he's going to go down as one of those coaches when he decides to retire that is just well respected in the basketball community, like Roy Williams. Sad to see some of the greats go, but you got to respect that whole run that they had.
Something just came up for me here I wanted to talk about right before we end it. So we saw the Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan kind of feud back and forth on what's the Last Dance podcast and kind of following. Yeah. Do you think KD and LeBron are on that level and it's just not really talked about?
No, I really don't for some reason. KD doesn't seem like he's got that edge for some reason.
Did you see how defensive he got against Rappaport?
I did, but today's NBA is just a little bit different. Maybe I should have framed it that way. KD does have, he's very defensive, obviously, the way he makes burner accounts on Twitter and everything. But it seems like these guys at the end of the day, they're professionals and they respect each other and they'll go give each other a hug. I could have seen if we saw like Russell Westbrook and KD go on, like obviously KD's gone on to win titles, but if Russell would have won a few titles, I could see that feud having like, you know, ballooned up a little bit, because for a minute we were like scared that Russ and KD were like really angry at each other, and like the loyalty issues there were apparent. And yeah, I don't know, but I don't think LeBron and KD really have that.
Yeah.
And LeBron's he's more of he's always been a mentor and just a figure to look up to NBA players.
I think KD like rejects LeBron's mentorship though. He like doesn't want it. That's true,
because he's like, I'm just as good as you. That's what he's probably in his head. He's like, I'm just as good as you. Why would I need your mentorship? And I can see that being a thing, but it's never going to be like MJ, Isaiah. And
it's hard to find anyone off the court that respects KD as far as us fans go. Like, it's the exact opposite with LeBron. You could hate him as a player, and you have to respect what he does off the court. Yeah,
and there's so many LeBron haters that are just completely delusional, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But all those LeBron haters, at some point in the conversation with them, they're like, well, I understand how great he is and that he's done a lot of good. And that's like, okay, so you respect him, you know what I mean? Every single one understands how great he has been for such a extended period of time. And yeah, I would want to get into something else about Shaq always talking about his era being so much better and disrespecting this era, but that's for another podcast, because I'm getting so frustrated with that. His job is to analyze today's NBA, and he just bashes on it nonstop. And I love Shaq, and Shaq's hilarious, and he's cool, but you got to stop, man. You got to stop. Like, it's not the players' fault that the rules have changed. Do you know what I mean?
They're going to change again next year, pretty much the other way. It's gonna open up. So, we're gonna have a lot less fouls next year.
I think so too.
But I think Shaq is one pushing for that, because he knows, dude, we're watching a 2-hour NBA game and 35-40 minutes of it is at the free throw line.
Yeah, and he's right. But he bashes players for it.
Yeah.
Like, somebody brought up, like, there was an argument that Candace Parker brought up about DeMar DeRozan would be better in an earlier era, and Shaq just completely was like, no way, man. Like, he couldn't handle what we handled. It's like, yeah, they can. They're athletes just like you. They're playing the rules, you know? Yeah. Ask LeBron to be a physical force his career, and he has, regardless. And his first few years were in that era that Shaq talks about that was more physical. But he'd be even better. He'd be more dominant if the game had stayed that way. We all know it. Yep. And Zion's going to help push that narrative too of like a more physical game to win. And we have centers that are doing well now, Joel Embiid. And I think the NBA will change some rules, and I think it's going to be very positive moving forward. But I wish Shaq would not bash the players for the NBA's shortcomings.
Yeah. Since LeBron left the Cavs the first time, the NBA has trended majorly upwards, I think, as far as people's excitement for the sport again, because there was a good bit in the mid-2000s, kind of when Kobe's career was winding down, LeBron's was winding up, that we were bleak on the NBA.
Yeah, well, I was bleak when he went to the Heat for a little while, but that was me personally, and I think a lot of people liked watching him on the Heat, but I just had a few years where I was a little disinterested, because I was like, oh, they're just going to win. Kind of like how I'm sure a lot of people will feel about the Nets if they get it done.
Yeah.
But I don't think they will. I think there's so many good narratives going on in the NBA, and I think we're at a good place as long as we can get some rule reform going. And I'm really, really hoping, really optimistic that will happen. All right, so we're done. We're done for the day. How are we going to do it?
3, 2,
Thanks
1 for watching.
Wait. I was saying a different podcast ending. I was going to say This Is Important, which is a Workaholics podcast that I listen to. All right, here we go. Thanks for watching Home Court Podcast. Is that how big our delay is?
You said sports podcast last time.
Is that how big our delay is? That when I say, okay, well, that's my bad. All right, see you guys.
See you guys.